I am really excited to make this video because this is the first personal project that I actually get to put on my YouTube channel. But anyways, this is an update video for my remote control airplane. The build is not too technical and uses common materials and simple electronics, and it's something anyone with enough time and resolve can do on their own.
It works.
Materials. For the body, I'm using a $5 sheet of foam board, plywood, tons of hot glue, duct tape, and masking tape. Body. I started by chopping my huge block of foam board into little pieces. I originally wanted to use my hot wire for this, but I found an X-Acto knife a lot easier to work with. To cut out the airfoils, I made guides out of plywood using Clark Y airfoils I found on airfoiltools.com. I tried my best to hold the guides parallel, but it wasn't perfect, causing some imbalances in the surface finish. I also went a little bit fast here on the leading and trailing edges. If you move faster than the wire can melt, the wire will bend inwards and give the wing a concave shape. This causes the weird pattern on the wing that you see here. Overall, it wasn't a big deal. I was a lot more concerned with just finishing the project.
All the way. Top of rainbow.
It's generating lift. So there's my airfoil. Look at that. It makes lift.
It works.
After that, I cut out the body too. The hot wire leaves a really nice finish, but it's really hard to cut straight. You can see every little bump and jostle I made as I sliced the fuselage with the hot wire.
Check it out. There's the finished fuselage.
Wings! To give the wings a slight dihedral angle, I inserted strips of cardboard on the bottom edge. For added strength, I slid the pieces over some bamboo skewers and joined them using lots of hot glue. Hot glue made the joint really rigid and didn't have enough spring, so I reinforced it with duct tape. The surface of the wing was then covered in packaging tape, which gave it a sleek and waterproof finish. Classy! I also cut flaps in the wings with a beveled inner edge for greater range of motion. I'm eventually going to slap on control horns and control them with servo motors. To attach the wings, I poked skewers through the body and wrapped around them with rubber bands. The rubber bands I used were way too stretchy, and they do this when I shake it. You really wouldn't want this happening mid-flight. Electronics. For the electronics, I'm using an 1100 kV brushless DC motor, hobby servo motors, a LiPo battery, and a radio controller and receiver. Sadly, my speed controller got COVID and burned himself out. This is probably because I connected him to an 11-volt LiPo battery, which was way too much for this tiny motor and some servos. During flight, it would probably cool itself, but just sitting there, it gets really hot. You can even see here where the heat from the resistor burned a hole through the shrink wrap. So now I have to wait for a new one to ship before I can get this thing up in the air. Even if it doesn't fly though, it would make a really sturdy coat rack. So that's probably it for this video. So there's my project on my first RC airplane. In the next video, I'll finish up the build and hopefully get it flying. I'll see you then.